appears Sarah Palin may need to brush up on her American history. She visited the Old North Church today here in Boston, the focal point of Paul Revere's historic ride, but it sounds like she got a bit confused on the details.
He who warned the British that they weren't going to be taking away our arms by ringing those bells and making sure as he's riding his horse through town to send those warning shots and bells that we were going to be secure and we were going to be free.
That's right. So if you like that, there's much more. We're doing our political episode today with the American Patriot and the granola-eating, peace-loving beatnik. Is that correct?
Yes.
I am the American Patriot Eagle, but you can call me Patriot for short.
Okay. Do I have to?
And you can call him Pink Okami for short.
I thought I was the granola eating something with dreadlocks.
That sounds about right, you hash smoking, hippie loving, wanting to get gay married.
So, yes, we have a...
You're on to me.
Very strict conservative and very easygoing liberal on the show today. And we are going to go over some political hot topics and have a little friendly debate.
I think that clip of Sarah Palin as the Patriot, I've got to say, that was an unfair representation of her. You took her words out of context, and she's correct. She was warning the British. And that was quite a gotcha question.
How can you quoting her own words back to her be taken out of context?
If you quote her without seeing the full context, and she was correct, were we not all British then? We were British colonies, so they were all British people, and they were warning the British.
So they were warning themselves.
Yes.
Interesting theory. And what was the whole thing about the arms? Because I don't remember that part about the Paul Revere story.
Listen, I think we're spending way too much time on one sentence of an entire campaign. Kind of.
I think the context that we're missing is we're not drinking antifreeze. Like, you have to be completely fucking insane to think that what she said was what happened in history.
Can I say my true theory of what I think Sarah Palin is?
Yeah, I'd like to hear that. I'll allow that.
My true theory, and this is what I really think she is, she's a liberal Democrat spy, if you would. Not spy. She's an operative put in by the Democratic machine and liberal hippie-smoking machine to make the Republican Party look silly.
That is a more believable story than what we're actually getting here.
There is no way there is an individual possibly like her that really is part of this party and that's really talking like that. She's an act.
If that's the case, she's doing a really, really good job.
That or, you know those movies where like they have the two characters switch minds and become different people? You know what I'm talking about? Like the Trading Place where they had with Kirk Cameron back in the day?
Trading Places?
Not Trading Places. Switching. They had like a thing where like the father becomes the son and son becomes the father. They switch places.
Like father, like son. Freaky Friday.
Yeah,
Big.
That's exactly. Freaky Friday, exactly. So I believe that's kind of happened between Sarah Palin and her retarded baby.
Twins. The new one that's coming out.
Yes.
Because we really needed another body switch comedy.
Okay, let's get right into this and let's talk about the commie-smoking liberal penis lover. Let's talk about these issues.
Okay. Debt. The debt ceiling.
Oh, I thought we were going to do our top fives first.
No. We're gonna take a break from our debate and do a lighthearted top five, and then get back to the debate.
Okay. So I have my top five complaints about liberals, and Jay, what do you have?
Oh, I have the top five complaints about uber conservatives.
Okay, so my number one.
Okay, we'll just go into the top five. I'm only the moderator here. I have top five, everyone.
Top five.
Well, it's very conservative to ignore the rules.
It's very liberal to want to smoke pot instead of following the rules.
So we're doing the top five complaints that conservatives have about liberals, and also the top 5 complaints liberals have about conservatives.
Liberals are always sending people pictures of their junk.
That is true. All
Jay?
right.
I mean, I can't fight that. Like, I do it every day when I'm smoking pot.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what they're obsessed with. They're passing on their awful values through pictures of their junk.
Mr. Granola, top 5. Number 5 complaint about conservatives.
I can't understand why conservatives have a Ronald Reagan fetish. They think that Ronald Reagan is either Jesus or they want to make out with Ronald Reagan. Either one. I can't figure it out.
He was really good in that Genesis video.
Okay, first off, you would obviously skull fuck his dead body. He's an attractive man,
Wow.
even in death.
And he wouldn't remember it.
First of all, in less silliness, he's been the greatest president we've ever had. He brought down communism.
One jelly bean
not
out
to
of
have
the
a
Flaming
debate.
laser sword.
Star Wars. We destroyed communism. When communism was no more, he brought down the Berlin Wall. He did an amazing job. He fixed the economy from 10% down to 4% unemployment by the time he was done.
It was 13.5% by the time he was done.
Not in 1988.
Well, what he did was he took the marginal tax break for the richest people in the country was somewhere hovering around 70%. If you made a shitload of money, then you would be charged tax at 70%, and that was fueling the government. And then he took it down to like 25%, and created the first major budget crisis in the country.
He grew the economy. He grew the roaring 80s. Anyone who's alive in the 80s knows the 80s were a wonderful time. And liberals like to point out some numbers and make things up about, he cut taxes on the rich. He cut taxes on those who create jobs. And that's why we had more jobs.
So you're both agreed that he's number 1.
You say created jobs, we're massively laying off people to do them.
Well, let's go through our top 5 before we get too far into the debate.
Okay, good. All right.
My number 2, liberals hate war but love killing babies. It's true.
Well,
we never want to go to war, but we could shoot as many babies as possible.
Well, I mean, conservatives like to drop bombs on everybody that's not white, and they think that that abortion doctors walking around with hammers just like crushing the skulls of everybody between the age of 1 and 5. That's not the case.
Maybe conservatives want to drop a lot of bombs on some non-white people, but liberals seem to want to drop bombs on only babies.
I have yet to hear of the abortion procedure that requires explosives.
Oh, if the liberals had their way...
The only explosives that are actually happening are the ones that are...
I believe if liberals had their way, they would stick dynamite up a woman's vagina, and that would be what they call abortion.
I'm all for that, by the way. Number 4.
Jay.
Number 4.
Granola.
I get really sick of the fact that conservatives all think that Obama is going to take away their guns. There's nothing demonstrable in reality for them to draw the conclusion that Obama is going to even touch their guns, going to come near their guns. You hear it on Glenn Beck, you hear it on Fox News, you hear it in the federal legislator level. Obama's not going to touch your fucking guns. He never has even indicated that he's going to touch your guns. So why are you so scared of that?
I don't know. There has been some discussions about creating greater regulations during for gun shows. There's been some talk about taking away some automatic weapons. I've heard it. My number 3. Liberals love criticizing George Bush's intelligence, but still think he's the mastermind behind 9/11.
Touche.
I don't think that George Bush was stupid. George Bush achieved his goal. He created the greatest disparity in wealth and income since the Gilded Age. That was his primary purpose from the start, and he achieved it.
Mr. Bush, what will you achieve your goals? My goals are to make, I can't do his voice, but make everyone rich. And the way I will do that is by taking down the towers. You'll see. It'll come together.
All your impersonations sound the same, by the way.
They do. That's also the same impersonation I use for my mom and my. What's your number 3?
My number 3 is you can't stop saying something is unconstitutional when you don't know what the Constitution is.
Number 4.
The next time I consider. You mean number 2?
Oh, whatever. My next one. You go finish what you're saying.
Oh, I was going to say the next time that somebody like on the right accuses something of being unconstitutional or accuses something that Obama does of being unconstitutional, they have to cite what article or what amendment in the Constitution particularly is unconstitutional. You can't just be like, it's unconstitutional because I think it is.
I think that's a great idea. And I think you should also not be allowed to mention 9/11.
Why? 9/11 changed everything. I don't understand. Is the moderator eat granola also?
I just feel like that's the answer. Like, why are we in a depression? Well, 9/11.
Well, liberals don't understand basic concepts, like the rich are better than everyone else, and we must nurture them or they will take away all the jobs.
All right, what's your number 2? Mark. Conservative. American Patriot Eagle.
Yeah, I just said liberals don't understand basic concept like the rich are better than everyone else.
Oh, that was your thing. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was just a side note.
That was my number 2. Granola?
My number 2 is you have to stop being obsessed with abortion. You really just have to. The funny thing is about abortion is when you focus on it constantly, and that's the only driving motivation for the way that you elect people, then you're permitting these fucking like ridiculously rich assholes to just steal money from you in the most massive ways in the past for a century. So, and by the way, when you're a very smart person told me this once. Since babies don't know Jesus.
You mean a conservative told you that?
Yeah, conservative told me. Since Since babies don't yet know Jesus, if you kill them, then they go right to heaven.
So I see the liberals' plan is to get all babies to heaven, huh?
That's very noble.
My number 1. Liberals' ideal America consists of 300 million weed-smoking, gay Mexican immigrants who are all married to each other and living in mansions paid for by government welfare.
You got us. You got us.
Best number 1 ever.
I dominate. I won that top 5. Let me see your number 1. What is it, Granola?
My number 1 is you can't accuse somebody of socialism when you don't know what the word means.
I do know what the socialism means. Socialism means liberal. There you go.
Socialism means liberal. According to conservatives, socialism is anything that Obama does. Obama could comb his hair, and that would be socialism.
I have a question for you. Obama took office. Were the banks taken over? Would the government take ownership of the banks?
I'm sorry?
During Obama's tenure, did the government take ownership of banks?
No.
Yes. During Obama's tenure, did the government take ownership of the car companies?
Actually, yes. They did socialism. Okay.
There you go. Okay, let's start the debates now.
All right. First topic on the debate. We're doing 5 topics today. We're going to do the debt ceiling. So basically, we have a couple $1 trillion in debt right now. And they're mulling over the idea of raising the debt limit to $2.4 trillion. So basically, that would make, I don't know what that would do other than stall or debts, really.
I know what it would do.
Okay.
It's very simply. I have a credit card. The limit on my credit card is $20,000. If I came to my credit card company and said, I have $20,000 in debt to you, but I want to have $30,000 in debt for you, the credit card company would simply raise the debt. And also, that wouldn't suddenly make my personal finances better. I wouldn't suddenly be like, we're in lots of debt. The best way to get out of this is to decrease our debt. It's simple. Everyone who has a credit card can understand this. You don't get out of debt by getting more debt.
I have no idea what you just said.
Well, the credit card analogy is the fact that we're issuing treasury bonds, and whoever buys it, issuing bonds is like issuing debt, and whoever buys the bonds, mostly China, is our debtor. So we now owe China all this money.
Shouldn't our goal be to pay off our debts instead of just taking more debts on?
Sure.
Why raise the debt ceiling? Right now the debt ceiling is $14 trillion. Our country can't get away. We can't exist in a situation where we only owe $14 trillion. We have to owe $16 trillion.
Well, here's the thing. Like, unless we're able to immediately stop spending all of this more money than we take in revenue, then we're going to have to raise the debt ceiling because the consequences would be a global economic catastrophe.
But isn't this like an alcoholic?
Right now, the treasury.
You don't solve an alcoholic's problems by giving him more alcohol. You cut him off and make him figure his stuff out. And that's what the United States should do. We should stop borrowing more money. We should say we're not going to borrow more than $14 trillion, which is a huge total. And we should instead of borrowing any more money, we should get our debts in order.
Well, if you don't give this alcoholic a beer, he's going to walk into a room full of people and start shooting. That's the situation that we're in.
Only if he's a liberal.
So what do we do with, I think 90%, I'm just making this figure up, but it's probably accurate, 90% of our debt is to China. Now, are we that awkward friend that changes the subject every time they ask where their money is? And what do we do when China says, hey, you actually have to pay us back now?
Well, you want your money? I have to go to the bathroom right now.
I don't know how long that strategy is going to work for.
The check's in the mail. We didn't sign the check. Oh, we'll send another.
You want your money? Oh, we're going to nuke you.
Yeah, that sounds more accurate.
So I don't understand. Why do we need to borrow more money? Why can't we just live with the debts we have? Why don't we just reduce our spending?
Because we have interest payments to make, and if we don't make those interest payments, then the treasury bond no longer becomes the best investment in the world, and the full faith and credit of U.S. investments drops below the floor.
But wouldn't that be a good thing if it causes us to get that way? We'd be like, well, now we can't do this anymore. We have to live a different kind of lifestyle, and we have to get now that people won't loan us money anymore, we have to figure out how to live within our means, and cut programs that aren't needed anymore. I mean, if you can Google it, the United States government doesn't need to do it.
Huh?
Oh,
I see what you're saying.
If you can find it on Google, we don't need a post office. We already have a private industry that can do this. We don't need a lot of things the United States government does.
Think of the U.S. like a company, okay?
Like Google.
So if the U.S. was Google, and then all of a sudden Google in their balance statement said that they were in default, what would happen to their stock price?
They say Google has hundreds of billions of dollars in excess revenue, excess cash reserve. So I wish we were like Google.
Well, we actually do. It's in the Fed, but it's in the form of worthless piece of shit mortgage derivatives, and that nobody can sell.
So, I mean, we're making bad purchases, and we want to borrow more money to make more bad purchases?
Well, so the conservative solution to this, which is what Paul Ryan's budget is all about, is not to actually increase the revenue to fix the budget, because that would fix the budget. We wouldn't have to borrow any more money if we had higher revenue.
If we tax everyone at 100%, sure, no one will have any money, but yeah, the government will pay off all their debt. That's great.
You've discovered the meaning of socialism. Congratulations.
If the United States we should purchase everyone. We should purchase everything here in this country, and the United States should own everything. That's what liberals want.
Well, the thing is, what Paul Ryan wants to do is to fix the budget, which we do need to fix the budget. I think the underlying thing about all this is that we actually do need to fix the budget. We can't keep borrowing all this money.
Exactly. So we both agree that we can't keep borrowing this money. So it's just it's a matter of disagreement of when we should stop borrowing this money. I say we should stop now. You say we should stop borrowing when we have $50 trillion in debt. How many trillions of dollars in debt?
Is that what
Yeah, how many trillions of dollars in debt is too much for us to borrow? Why is $14 trillion not enough? What do we have to do? We need 17, 18? How many more trillions do we need?
I think we need $1 trillion for every single time Sarah Palin sounds like a fucking idiot on TV.
Again, she's a liberal. Like, it's obviously she's the Manchurian candidate.
All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. Next topic is one of my favorites, Sarah Palin and the Republican candidates. So I think Sarah Palin stirs up a little bit of controversy. She may be running for president, may not. She's not saying, but she could be a Republican candidate. And there's also a few other people that may be running against Obama. And I just want to get your guys' takes on this.
Well, we'd all love for Rick Perry to finally throw his hat in the ring. He would be probably the best candidate. He's turned Texas into a wonderful place. He's taking action. He's planned a day of prayer and a day of fasting because he believes on August 6th, because he believes God will help us if we pray to him. So he's taking real action, whereas Obama has not called for a day of prayer. And I think that Obama should apologize for that. The true Christians really call for the things we need.
What are they praying for exactly?
They are praying that our economic situation gets turned around. And these hard times, God helps us through these hard times because we are the chosen nation.
And if that doesn't work, it's because of abortion?
No, it's because of the gays.
Yes, the gays.
So your take on Palin, Granola? Or any of the other Republican potential presidential candidates?
Well, I mean, we sort of covered Palin. I mean, she's sort of like this drooling idiot. There's another one. I forget his name, but maybe you guys can remind me. But he just said, like yesterday or the day before, that he's not going to, as a president, he's not going to sign any bill that's more than 3 pages long. Which means that throws out the budget. That throws out 99% of bills that are actually written.
Yeah, there'll be no, I guess, health plans or budget bills written at all.
The military would falter. Like basically, the country would fold in on itself, and the country as we know it would implode.
To be fair, this was Herman Cain, the owner of Godfather Pizza, which I've actually never really heard of. He's not really a front-running candidate. If you want to talk about real candidates, there's Tim Pawlenty. Tim Pawlenty is an excellent candidate with real conservative values. His idea, as I was saying before, I guess no one caught on, was that if you could find it on Google, the United States government does not need to do it.
I found the United States government on Google.
Well, I'm just saying, if the private sector is already doing it, why is the United States government doing it? We should let the private sector. We should privatize most of the government. The only reason we have a government is for protection. The government should be here just to fight wars and everyone and govern. And make sure the private sector moves along.
Granola?
Well, I mean, that sort of bodes with his idea about the budget. He came out with a budget proposal on how to fix, the United States budget, and his solution was the sweeping tax cuts for the richest Americans. Again, just like George Bush.
Well,
where should the money be? Exactly the budget mess.
Where should the money be? Should the money be in the hands of government or the people?
I mean, the thing is, like, this argument, like, you're not arguing for a balanced budget. You're anti-government. It's sort of a anarchist argument. You don't think the government should even exist for anything.
I do.
Is that right?
For protection.
For bombing brown people? Is that what it's for?
If brown people didn't commit all the terrorism, we wouldn't have to bomb the brown people.
What about abortion clinic terrorism?
I don't think those people that are trying to prevent a Holocaust against babies are really terrorists. I mean, the freedom fighters that are trying to protect, trying to kill abortion doctors, yeah, they're good people.
Well, moderator, do you have a list? Who's another candidate that I'm not thinking of?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't pay attention.
This is what you don't have.
There's Rick Santorum.
I was just playing Angry Birds.
Oh, Rick Santorum.
Moderator, while we're talking, you should Google Rick Santorum.
Isn't that a wrestler?
And then describe the first link that comes up after you.
Yes.
After you...
Google. Trust me. Google Rick Santorum and describe what you find.
Spreading Santorum.
I'm going to get a beer while you do this.
A frothy mix of lube and fecal matter that is sometimes the byproduct of anal sex. Oh, and number 2, Rick Santorum.
Isn't that wonderful?
That is amazing.
He, some liberal blogger decided to, I forget what he went off on gay people, and he decided to make his name really funny.
That is amazing. So that's one of the guys we got. While the granola is getting a drink, I'm just going to say follow us on Nick of Sanity on Twitter. That's Nick with a K. And 631-676-1181 is the call-in number. And why don't you get yourself an iPhone or Android app to help support the show?
There's no better gift for Father's Day than an Android app to the Brink of Sanity show.
Yeah, because I'm sure your dads know how to use smartphones and probably have one. No, but it helps support the show, and the show is expensive. So do that.
There's no better gift for someone's birthday or Sweet 16 than an app to the Brink of Sanity show.
Agreed. So do
there's
that.
There's no better gift to celebrate your favorite Republican or Democratic candidate than a app from Brink of Sanity show.
So we have a couple others. I actually did some research. I was just kidding about playing Angry Birds. So, is the granola back?
I'm back.
Okay. So, Rudy Giuliani.
So the person basically who saved our country from 9/11, I think he'd make a good president.
Yeah, he did a lot of saving.
You do know that 9/11 happened, right?
I mean, do you think New York would have survived without Rudy Giuliani and his leadership? I don't think so.
I think in spite of Rudy Giuliani's leadership.
I think Giuliani is one of the greatest Americans, and they should get rid of Mount Rushmore if it's not going to have Giuliani's face.
Well, it'd be interesting to see how Giuliani runs his campaign, because in 2007, during the primaries, all he said was 9/11. He was like, blah, 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 9/11. I tied my shoes 9/11. Like, he would not finish a sentence without punctuating it with 9/11.
When you have great accomplishments, you talk about them. You want to make sure people know them. I mean, liberals like to talk about their first gay marriage. That's their big thing they always like to throw out there, because they talk about their big accomplishments.
John Bolton.
John
Singer?
Bolton, he was basically he was our guide to the UN. What is it called?
Ambassador
Ambassador to the UN.
Yes.
I don't love him on domestic policy, but on foreign policy, he makes a lot of sense. His basic plans are to nuke Iran and a bunch of other countries over there with brown people. I think he makes a lot of sense, because if Iran wasn't there, we wouldn't have a lot of problems.
Stop me if you want to talk about any of these people. Michelle Bachmann.
Michelle Bachmann is just a wannabe Sarah Palin. And by when I say wannabe, I mean wannabe awesome. She is the one that called out that we should look through Congress and try to find the members of Congress who are anti-American, and I think she's correct.
She's a lunatic. She's a stark raving lunatic. who her entire campaign is constant, low, steady drumbeat about hating Obama and hating liberals and hating Democrats. Kind of like Fox News.
I mean, at least Fox News is fair and balanced. You guys have like all those people that contribute to the Democrat campaigns on MSNBC.
Well, in Fox News' defense, they did wait 72 hours before they declared Obama's presidency a failure.
I mean, let me just say this. I mean, Obama took office, and the first month he was in office, we lost 800,000 jobs. Obviously, he wasn't doing a very good job.
All right.
We lost another like 700,000 the following month. Like he just like kept doing the same bad policies.
So who it was? Scott Brown.
Scott Brown. Oh, the senator from Massachusetts.
Well, you guys really do know your politics.
He's actually sane. Like, I mean, he's still got these like uber plutocratic, like right wing crazy, like let the rich people, screw the poor people in the butt. But he's actually not insane. Michelle Bachmann's insane.
I don't love Scott Brown because the granola eater seems to like him.
Lindsey Graham.
I didn't know he was running.
John Huntsman.
John Huntsman was the former governor of Utah. He served in the Obama administration as the ambassador to China. He makes a lot of good points, but I don't know like his nefarious ties to a certain Barack Obama.
All right, I think we're going to move on to the next topic because these are all creeps, and I don't want to talk about them anymore.
You admit, Granola, that Obama's been a failure so far, right?
Well, I mean, like, some things he's done well at, some things he hasn't.
What did Obama say the unemployment would hit when he was taking office? Where did he say unemployment would be?
I don't know, 7.5.
Where's unemployment now?
I don't know.
Like 9%.
That's
quite
pretty
a bad
close.
job.
Does that have anything to do with the fact that the Republicans veto every single thing? Sorry, not veto, filibuster every single thing that goes through Congress.
If they didn't filibuster,
every single thing.
Unemployment would be like 15 or 20%. They're just trying to like keep the economy from like falling off the cliff.
So well, I mean, it's hard to say that Obama's failed when like the GOP has blocked everything he's tried to do.
Explain one success Obama's had.
Well, Ford is still kicking. GM is still alive.
Right. They actually only started doing well when the government gave up ownership of them.
Well, they were about to go like completely under before the government took ownership. Well, it's not ownership.
So your big success you can point out for Obama was his socialist policies. So when he took over Ford, he didn't take over Ford, GM. That was his big success, instituting socialism in the United States.
That was one of the successes.
Yeah. Any successes that don't involve instituting socialism?
When I should tell you that, putting companies in bankruptcy, especially banks, putting banks in receivership is as American as an apple pie. It happens hundreds of times a year.
You're saying socialism is part of American apple pie?
I am. I'm sorry to tell you. Even though you don't really know what socialism means, that happens every day.
I told you, socialism means liberal. It's pretty obvious. Let me use a different word, communist. So what non-communist accomplishment has Obama had?
Well, I think pagan is the best way to describe it.
Yes, what non-pagan accomplishment has Obama had?
Let's see, he caught Osama bin Laden.
Yes, the Bush administration tracked him, found him, and Obama said, kill him. Wonderful. Way to go. And Obama took all the credits away from the Marines that actually shot him.
Oh, did he?
Yes. And the truth of it is the only reason Obama even went after Osama is because bin Laden had the real birth certificate.
Well, I think Obama's biggest accomplishment is being president even though he was born in Kenya.
That I agree with. Now we're on the same page. What's our next topic of debate?
We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with reforming Medicare, Got to do some Anthony Weiner talk and foreign policy. So we'll be back in 2 minutes. So I don't know. It's pre-recorded, so you can fast forward if you want.
I need a garage door opener for my balls.
What?
What the fuck? I don't like the smell that usually forms down there if I go for a couple days without washing.
I'm proud of you.
It smells like onions wrapped in asshole. What the fuck are we talking about?
Hey, Dad, remember that one time I got that cock stuck in my ass?
He just went over legs and arms.
In a truck not too hard to locate, featuring painted images of a peeled banana, the exposed part shaped like a condom, and a shirtless man saying, "I protect myself," to you.
What kind of fucking question is this? I'm the host of the show, and I get put down on every episode.
I love you, Tim.
John is a man of God.
Shed his precious blood.
Shed his precious blood.
And died.
And died.
Oh, my sin. And now the three guys that taught your mom that thing you like. It's Minor Detail.
MinorDetailPodcast.com.
Let's cut to the chase. I'm DJ, and I do a little something called the Greenlight Show. Now, I want you to be a fan of the show, so I'm making you listen to this sample. And these girls, they think, oh, as long as I show off my tits, I'm fat. I'll wear this skin-tight shirt and show off all my tits.
Yeah, I see
That'll look real good.
I see that a lot, actually, and it's rather disgusting.
And I've heard these girls, they'll say stuff like, well, you're looking.
Yeah, because I want to throw up.
Yeah, just because I'm looking at your enormous exposed tits, that doesn't mean I like them.
Yeah, exactly.
Like driving by a car wreck, if I were to see a 6-year-old boy's head smashed and run over by an SUV, just because I can't look away, that doesn't mean I like the way it looks. I went to go see Toy Story 3.
My bad.
I don't mean to spoil the movie for anybody, but Andy dies.
Does he get AIDS?
Andy gets AIDS in Toy Story 3 from a gay orgy. He got drunk. He went up to
at college.
The plot of this is it shows Andy leaving his parents in the beginning, his mom's house.
Yeah, his single mom.
Where the fuck is Andy's dad?
His mom's a single mom.
So the opening scene is just Andy going, "Man, if your mom, fuck off!" And Andy drives off to his college.
Smoking weed.
Andy gets to college, and the first thing, he opens the door to his new apartment. And his roommates, who he's never met, are in there. They go, "Hey, Andy, rub this on your tongue." Andy starts fucking all these dudes. It's a big, giant orgy.
Wow.
It's like gays and lesbos and normals, and they're all just intertwined fucking.
That's weird.
And then Woody shows up, but it's not Woody. It's Andy's dick with a cowboy hat on it. And he goes, "Check out my Woody!" If you like what you hear, head on over to greenlightshow.com. You can find out everything about the show right from the homepage. greenlightshow.com. See you there.
How insane do you have to be to be in Congress and then Skyping, or it's not Skype, it's Twittering out pictures of your junk? Like, that's the stupidest thing that I've ever heard of in my entire life.
If the condom doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Are we back on yet?
Yeah, I started recording, so we just we're just move right into part 2 of our big debate.
Let's talk about Weiner first, I guess.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Anthony Weiner's Weiner.
Anthony Weiner's Weiner. It seems like all Democrats want to do is send pictures of wieners to young women.
Well, I mean, what Weiner did is better than what Mark Foley did, by sexually harassing and molesting, like, underage boys. Don't you think?
Listen, I mean, if your best defense for Weiner is to talk about someone else, then it's not really a good defense. Is there any defense of what Weiner did?
I'm not defending Weiner. I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't bother me if he stayed.
You love Weiner, don't you? Why?
Weiner. I love it.
You think so? The members of Congress should be sending. Do you think it's appropriate for members of Congress to be sending pictures of their junk to young women? Do you know his wife's pregnant, by the way?
It wasn't a physical affair.
Have you heard that? Oh, I'm sure he's committed a physical affair. I'm sure more stuff will come out. There's no chance he's sending pictures of his junk and he hasn't had a physical affair with. He's admitted to talking to a number of women like this. And he sent a picture of his bare chest, which, might I say, how is he in Congress and he's in that good a shape? Maybe he should spend more time legislating and less time at the gym.
He is the white Lieutenant Daniels from The Wire.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he is.
That is such a good call.
Just a really small, skinny head with this super buff body underneath.
Like square jawed, beady eyes.
Yeah. I mean, so his wife is pregnant. They found it. They're the New York Times are reporting, that communist paper. Good timing. I'm pregnant. That's interesting. I'm going to tell the young girl I'm sending my picture of my junk that you're pregnant. Why are liberals always sending pictures of their junk to young women?
Granola,
because we're trying to entice them into having an abortion.
I accept that.
So, is this? Do you consider what he did cheating? Let's just say there was no physical contact, and he.
Is there a chance there really wasn't any physical contact? He's been talking to a number of women. There was one, I guess she liked.
What's wrong with?
Hang on, she liked the posting he had on Facebook, so he sent her his phone number and it said "call me" and had her call him at his congressional office.
He was sending these pictures to people that don't even live in New York.
Yeah, it was a different state, but the one.
I mean, maybe
he's talking about. She wrote the word "hot" in his profile, and he immediately sent his number.
Well, I mean, here's the test. Here's the test. If your wife or girlfriend did this, what would your explanation to the cops be for her blood on your hands?
Well, I mean, you can't compare if your wife did this, because we're a lot more rational than women are.
But I mean, this is totally. This is Can you imagine having a conversation? Oh, you want to send pictures of your the wife's you want to send pictures of your junk to young girls? Oh, that's totally fine. I'm totally okay with that. It just seems like a hobby of yours, right?
Well, it's obvious. If a woman did that, I mean, she should be buried to her neck in sand and stoned to death, right?
Is that a liberal philosophy? I don't know what you're referring to. Are the liberals and the extreme right-wing Muslims all converging together?
I think he was saying that was your point of view.
Oh, yeah. What I don't understand is his job was supposed to be important to him, yet he was doing this anyhow. He should step down.
Yeah, I don't get how, if you're in this position, why you would mess around, follow porn stars on Twitter and send them messages, and I don't understand why you would do that, knowing people are going to be looking at your Twitter.
Well, what you guys need to explain to me is why it's relevant. Why is what he did was consenting adults. All right, he cheated on his wife. What politician doesn't?
Well, no.
How is that relevant?
Here's how it's relevant.
What he does.
If someone now wants to use it against you that you're doing this, and they can blackmail you into making bad policy, making corrupt policies.
But it's out there, and everyone knows he's doing it now, so you can't really blackmail him.
Well, he's going to say, "I'm not going to do this anymore," and he's always going to end up in a worse and worse situation. He's also he's sending porn over state lines over Twitter.
I mean, it's stupid and it's dumb, but I do agree with the separating personal and professional. People don't want to root for Tiger Woods in golf now. Well,
here's the thing. We're putting you in charge of making laws for our nation. You're supposed to make very good choices. And you're going to make good choices about how our health care is going to work or how anything our government is going to work. Yet your own personal choices are insanely bad. Your personal choices to send pictures of your junk in a way that you're obviously going to be caught, and you have a wife that's just pregnant. If you do this in your personal life, you're probably not that good, not that you're of sound mind to do this to make our laws.
Point goes to the conservative. I can't argue that at all. Reforming Medicare.
Yes.
Well, here's the thing. Yes.
What? What's yes?
Is that your answer? Yes.
Yes, I am down to reform Medicare.
No, you don't want to reform Medicare. You want to fucking strangle Medicare until it's dead.
To be honest with you, I want to end Medicare. It's the government should be providing health care. We have private hospitals. The private sector will take care of this through competition. If we allow true competition, the price of health care will go down. The problem in our country is 60% of all health care costs are paid for by the United States government, and our costs are out of control. If 100% of it was in the private market,
the price of health.
If 100% of it was in the private market, competition would drive down prices. You know, if you look at the price of LCD TVs, the price has been driven down by what we call the private market. If the government got into selling LCDs, you'd be paying $5,000 for an LCD TV.
Because that worked for gas.
Moderator, are you supposed to be arguing also?
Yeah, that was my argument.
Well,
you mean I'm not supposed to be arguing?
We actually pay lower gas prices than the rest of the world, most of the rest of the world. Try going to London. The price of gas is twice as high.
The United States is the reserve currency. That's because the price of oil is in dollars. They trade in dollars. That's why it's so cheap for us, not for any other reason.
So what about the people that say it's an option? It's not. The government has the option to have government health care. You could still choose the private market.
I'm just saying private market would solve all our problems. The more you interfere with the government providing health care, the more problems you're going to make.
Why is that?
Well,
government's supposed to protect
60% of all of health care is provided by the government, and our health care costs are out of control. Why would making 70% or 80% of our costs from health care from the government be better?
The cost of health care is driven up by pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, device companies, and hospitals, all private entities. The government influence in the healthcare system is the only thing keeping the price from shooting through the roof.
Is Medicare going broke? Yes.
No.
It's going to run out of money in 10 years.
It's going to run out of money in like 30 years. Plenty of time to fix it.
The latest statistics say we will be out of money by 2026, so 16 years. And that's a program that's going to get worse and worse. As right now, it's I think 16% of all our GDP is healthcare, and it's going to keep going up and going up. Why is Medicare a good program?
The reason why it's going broke is because the price of pharmaceuticals and hospitals and medical devices is astronomically higher than anything else. Than anywhere else in any other country. And the reason is that it's higher is not it's lower in other countries because they have a single payer system.
If people want health care, they'll pay for it. Why should the government provide it?
Because health care is a human right.
I don't see it in the Constitution or the Ten Commandments, but where does it become a human right?
Well, it's not in this isn't the Constitution, but life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
I'm sorry. Did you make a whole big thing about like Republicans saying that's unconstitutional?
That wasn't the Constitution.
Point out in the Constitution, and now we're saying things should be required that aren't in the Constitution. Why doesn't everyone get an iPhone?
I just told you that's not.
Why is it not life, liberty, and an iPhone?
I mean, I wouldn't live without my iPhone. You have a point.
Yeah, so everyone should be given health care and an iPhone. Why is healthcare? Why should we give everyone healthcare more so than we should give them an iPhone?
Well, do you know the immediate effects of ending Medicare like you want to?
What were the immediate
effects? Old people would start dying. That's the immediate automatic effects of ending Medicare.
I have a question. If you don't end Medicare, will old people not die?
Yes. Old people will not die because they're being kept alive because of Medicare.
I believe your solution. You're like, if we get rid of Medicare, old people will die. But if we don't get rid of healthcare, old people will die. If we give everyone iPhones, old people will die. Old people always die. That's why they're called.
Well, you know, the international, what is it?
What communist organization are you talking about now?
House of Pancakes?
Yes, the International House of Pancakes thinks old people deserve.
I'm breaking up, guys. I'm breaking up. Jay, you jump in, buddy.
Okay, so I think we lost the granola.
Is granola gone?
I don't know.
Granola?
Yeah, I think we lost the granola.
We can hear you still, granola.
Okay, it just needed to catch up.
Okay, are you back now?
What about ketchup?
Okay, so you were talking about some kind of international organization like a House of Pancakes being helpful for healthcare.
No, what I was saying is that I think it was the IMF. They came out with a study. They finally backed off the argument that cell phones don't cause cancer. So in that respect, I mean, cell phones are kind of relevant to the healthcare debate, aren't they?
Are you advocating that more people get cancer so we can reduce unemployment by having the people with jobs die so the people without jobs can get jobs? Is that what you're advocating?
What I'm advocating.
Okay, so the Republicans want to make the economy better by lowering taxes and letting the free market reign. The Democrat liberals want old people and people that use cell phones to die, so there'll be less people that have the jobs. So unemployment will have to go down because we're killing off all the employed. Or unemployed, I guess.
Well, here's the thing, like, if old people, not old people, if poor people start dying because they don't have health care, actually poor people are dying because they don't have health care. If they keep dying and die in greater numbers because healthcare prices are going up, who's going to work all these enormous factories that the uber rich are running?
So at one point you're saying we run out of poor people, and that's going to be a problem for the United States?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know we needed a permanent. I didn't know we needed a permanent underclass of poor people to do all our make all our sneakers.
I believe the answer you're looking for is that's why we have China.
I was going to say Mexico or Cambodia. Actually, China's getting a little expensive, so more like Cambodia.
Yeah, more like Cambodia.
But yeah, so the United States, your policies, you're saying if we get rid of health care, we'll have less poor people. I don't see the problem.
All right, foreign policy.
All right.
So
yes,
we have a pretty unique foreign policy in this country. Some may say
bomb them all like God sort them out.
Pretty much. Some may say it's a little more violent than others. But what's your guys' take? Let's let the granola go first.
Okay, granola. Tell me how you're going to spread beatnik love.
Well, foreign policy is directly related to the budget. We're spending an outrageous amount of money every single day fighting wars that we really can't even, we never could even fully justify.
Well, here's just to say we don't go far enough with our we worry too much about like not killing civilians. If we just dropped atomic bombs, nuclear on these people, we wouldn't have to worry about the cleanup later, and the war would be done.
Wow. That's quite an aggressive stance you got there, buddy.
Well, if we dropped an atomic bomb on Iran, we wouldn't have a problem with Iran anymore, would we?
Oh, you do have a point in the fact that everybody would be dead.
I win.
So what do you think the foreign policy should be, Mr. Granola?
I mean, stop the three wars that we can't afford and can't justify. Like end the boondoggle that is Afghanistan, and end all these contracts to these private security firms that are like raping us in their prices. I think something like 60 or 70% of our war budget is private contractors. It's not paying our troops. It's not paying for rebuilding of countries. It's paying like outrageously, inappropriately priced private contracts.
So
your
big solutions are to give up on Afghanistan and let Al Qaeda and Taliban join up once again, and so they can plan the next attack on us, And your problem is we're paying too much for contractors.
I think that the budget crisis is a bigger problem than Al-Qaeda.
Really? Because the budget crisis knocked down the towers now, not just George Bush?
Well, I mean, if the U.S. defaults on its debt, there's going to be a lot more devastation than what happened in South Manhattan that day. A lot more.
So you're saying the budget deficit will be Obama's 9/11?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
And Obama will go around. That's why it's Obama, actually, the way Giuliani repeats 9/11, Obama seems to repeat this whole budget crisis and deficit thing all the time, how if we don't pay, raise the ceiling. He seems to be a lot of propaganda from Obama. I'm pretty sure Obama has never been through defaulting on our debt. He does not actually really know if it would be a problem or not. He's just guessing.
What? I have a question for you, Super Patriot Bald Eagle Man.
Yes?
What country attacked us?
On 9/11? It was...
like who?
I mean, it was terror. We were attacked by terrorists.
Terror is not a country. What country attacked us?
Listen, we were attacked by terrorists, and we are at the war on terror. We're trying to fight all evil.
I mean, we're occupying these countries with populations. Which one attacked us? So we've declared a war on evil.
I mean, we didn't declare a war. We're just trying to, basically, those that want to destroy us, we want to stop. And
Does the Taliban
want to destroy us? Yes. So we have to fight the Taliban. Does Iran want to destroy us? Yes. So we need to bomb Iran. Is there Al-Qaeda in Iraq? Yes. So we need to fight there so they'll never have Al-Qaeda in Iraq anymore.
Al-Qaeda was never in Iraq. Al-Qaeda had like 4 people in Iraq.
And we need oil also, so that's why we're there, obviously.
Well, I mean, that's obviously why we're there.
So let's start by war. Do you not think we should be fighting the Taliban?
No, I don't think that they pose enough of a threat for us to be an occupying force in Afghanistan.
Did the Taliban
They never would be able to. They have fucking sticks and rocks. They can't throw it across the fucking Atlantic.
The Taliban attacked us on 9/11.
The Taliban did not. Al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11.
Same organization.
Disagree.
Not the same organization.
Disagree with both of you. Our government did it. They staged it.
Jay, Granola. The Twin Powers? Was it all from Al Qaeda, or what happened there?
Well, you know that Building 7 was taken down by explosives, right?
Please explain.
By our government.
By our government, maybe, but there's no actual physical reason why that building should have come down the way it did at the time that it did.
I believe it burned down, and why would just one building the government said, let's have 2 towers hit by planes, and then let's have Tower 7 fall also.
The fire doesn't get hot enough to take a building down like it was taken down with controlled detonation. Fire doesn't do that. Fire doesn't get that hot.
Fire is pretty hot. It melts things. And it seemed to melt. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. That's what I saw on TV. Everyone saw with their own 2 eyes that the building burned and it fell.
At free fall speed. While the cameras happened to just be focusing on that building at random right when it fell.
The cameras were focusing on a lot of buildings. You just kept catch the cameras that were focusing on it. And the building was on fire. Why wouldn't a camera be on the building?
That's
They're
really convenient.
let's not film the building that's on fire.
Building wasn't on fire.
Oh, the building wasn't on fire at all.
No.
So the moderator believes the building never was on fire. It just randomly fell. And the liberal commie pinko wannabe gay
dreads.
marriage guy with dreads, the dread smoker, thinks that thinks that there were controlled explosives on it, and the building was on fire.
Granola?
I mean, how is like a jet engine fire that happens 55, 60 stories above it gonna hop over to another building? How does that happen?
I believe when airplanes hit buildings, it could be messy. Some of the jet engine fire can jump on from one building to the other. It happens. There are lots of houses where one house catches on fire and the next house next door catches on fire as well.
Jet fuel burns very fast. It burned up in like 10 minutes after they hit.
There was a lot of jet fuel, and all I know is there's no plausible reason for why, it was obviously on fire. There were tons of witnesses that saw that on fire. So moderator is completely crazy. And
there were also tons of witnesses that heard demolition explosions.
I think they also heard a building falling, and just when people asked them, was that demolition, they were like, sure.
I don't like this conversation anymore. I'm putting an end to it.
I'm pretty sure it just planes hit the buildings fell. Pretty simple explanation, pretty accurate one.
Well,
do you think there was like a third shooter?
George Bush got together with Osama bin Laden, and they smoked a hookah together, and they planned it all. They planned it all. They got together and said, on 9/11, we're going to pretend like you flew planes into a building, but really it was the CIA.
Do you think Building 7 is the one they were really after the whole time? We just have to hit the towers, but Building 7. In Building 7, there's a janitor there that I do not like. He works from 9 to 3. Let's get him.
He called in sick, and I clearly saw him at a bar that afternoon.
So are we all agreed that the Jews caused 9/11?
Yeah, there's a lot of Jews in the government, right?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, sure.
I mean, is it a coincidence that 9/11 happened, the buildings were hit, and all the Jews were in Israel at the same time?
Yeah, Israel wasn't hit.
Exactly.
I think we wrapped that mystery up into a tight little package.
Where was Barack Obama on the day of 9/11? No one ever looks where he was. They keep looking where George Bush was. Don't look where Obama was.
He was
in Kenya.
He was in his hometown of Kenya. Kenya City, Kenya.
Can anyone actually name a city in Kenya? That would, I would assume, would be the capital. I assume there's Kenya City and there's a main street.
Springfield. Springfield everywhere, right?
Yeah, why not? It would be funny if Simpsons turned out the Springfield they meant was actually in Kenya. Do you know it was actually supposed to be Portland, Oregon?
It was?
Yeah, they said it on some Simpsons special. What
do you mean they're supposed to be Portland, Oregon?
Well, the capital city on The Simpsons is modeled after Portland. And Oregon is where Simpsons are supposed to take place.
Really?
Or maybe Springfield's supposed to be Portland. Yeah, apparently all the characters of The Simpsons are or not all of them, but a lot of them are like street signs. He just took street names and made them characters.
Mo? Street?
Like Montgomery Burns apparently are streets.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's enough streets where anything is a street.
I know, but the creator said this. It's not like a... And they showed it it was some special they showed it, and it made some sense when they showed it.
That was one of the biggest tangents we've ever had on this show. All right, so that's it for
and also, Matt Groening grew up in Portland, Oregon.
Okay. It's settled then.
Yeah, so Matt Groening caused 9/11? We all agree?
Yes. Matt Groening and Tower 7 is supposed to be the power plants. Didn't quite work out that way. But, yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed our little political debate for this evening. And we will be back next week. Thank you guys for joining us.
And next week we'll be back with a wonderful discussion of the human centipede.
Part 2. I am so looking forward to this. Basically, Mark knows the plot, and I don't. And I love the first movie, and Mark hasn't seen the first movie. So he's going to reveal to me what the plot is, because it got banned in Europe. And I am going to guess what I think the reasons are.
We also will talk about what's all that's wrong with our websites.
Yes.
It would probably be the greatest episode you'll ever hear. Not that this political episode wasn't great, but really, that would actually be the greatest one ever won.
Yeah. There's some things wrong, and we're going to go over that too in detail. I think it'll be fun. So, Jason, thank you for joining us.
All right.
It's been 39 episodes since you've been on the show. So.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I'll come back soon.
You slacker.
Yeah, you liberal slacker.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a weekend beer fest show at some point.
Perfect.
So, we'll be back soon.
This is the end. Say goodbye. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say goodbye. I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Everybody.
We need more dramatic effects. Let's shoot fireworks also what's going down.
Because if 2 stories got burned, it's not much of a story, is it?
Can't start a war with that, can you?
No, you really can't. Oh, 4 people died because a plane hit the side of the building.
Basically, a plane like that, you're basically flying a bomb. It hits it insanely fast. It's basically a bomb went off in the middle of the building. I mean, that's going to take down a building.
No, it's not going to take down a 100-story steel building.
Well, it did 3 times.
That's amazing because there was only 2 planes.
And 3 buildings. They all went down. Explain why they did this.
Because we got to go to war questions free.
We went to a war with Iraq questions free. Like, we didn't even have it happen then.
Yeah, we blamed Iraq for 9/11.
We've gone to so many wars. We don't need to hit a plane into a building to make war happen.
Half of them were fake.
War happened under every president has had lots of wars, and they haven't needed a plane to fly in a building to justify.
This was a big one. This basically got Bush off the hook for anything that happens for the next 8 years. How could the building fall straight down?
I believe on day 1 of Bush's presidency, his goal was to invade Iraq, and that was planned ahead of time and had nothing to do with 9/11. And they knew it had nothing to do with 9/11. But I'm pretty sure this whole thing with United States' big plan was to talk Al-Qaeda into attacking their buildings.
Al-Qaeda had nothing to do with it.
They flew the planes and trained the people and...
Trained what people? There was nobody in the goddamn planes.
Oh, the planes were empty?
Yes. Jesus Christ. Have you not seen Loose Change?
Loose Change is the biggest, crazy fantasy.
It's a crazy fantasy to think that a plane hitting the top of a 100-story building would make it fall from the bottom first.
Wait, was there anyone in the buildings also, or?
How did the plane fall from the bottom? How did the building fall from the bottom?
So one guy just flew the planes and built what's there? I never watched Loose Change. I know about it, but I don't know what is it. What's the whole theory?
The theory is that
this is better than our show.
Steel reinforced building hit at the top by a plane would not make the building fall from the bottom at free fall speed straight down.
What's the free fall? What speed would you like a building to fall besides free fall?
If each story hits the story below it, there's going to be some resistance. There was absolutely no resistance.
Is Jason on?
No, he just left. There would be some resistance. There was absolutely no resistance from the stories falling on top of one another.
What resistance?
If the building, say the plane hit on floor 84.
Yeah.
Floor 85 would fall on top of 83, hit it, and then push it down. So it would be some sort of resistance. Have you ever played Jenga?
Yeah.
It hits the story below it and then makes that story fall. But that's not what happened. It all fell simultaneously at the same speed.
Yeah, I kind of just believe it went down. I think it's insane that I think that I understand the only reason people think this is because there's so many conspiracies that actually turn out to be true, like Gulf of Tonkin or whatever.
Gulf of Tonkin.
Stowe just said, "Fuck, my internet died. Say thank you to Jay for me." I'll text him and say thanks for joining us.
I still can't believe that. Why won't you watch the movie at least?
I'll watch it.
Are you just saying that to get me to shut up, or are you actually going to?
Next time I'm at your place, I'll watch it.
I'll get it just so you can watch it.
I'll watch it. Next time I'm at your place, I'll watch it.
Yeah, because you're having a kid and you know you're not coming over for like 5 months. You really are a conservative.